if you just put in those hours, right? So and in order to put in those hours, you have to remove a friction basically. So anything you are learning new, you have to remove a kind of friction.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to what we call the Dream Show, where we basically inspire people to aspire. So, this video is basically going to be the part two of the episode one that we already did with Jatin. So, for those who haven't watched the part one yet, the link is in the description box. Please go and watch that video. But only after this one ends because the order does not matter too much. The first video basically talked about the experiences of Jatin at Microsoft and at Visa, and how he felt as a data engineer and how is his life as a software engineer. And for those who don't know Jatin so far, so I'll introduce him quickly because the last time I introduced him, it got a little too boring and monotonous. So basically, Jatin is a software engineer at Microsoft. He has been a data engineer at Visa, and he is also an aspiring and a far YouTuber. So what we talk about in this video today are a lot of things about interview preparation, the top tips and strategies for acing through those coding interviews, and we basically talk about what an interviewer's expectations generally are, what kind of questions are expected, and how amongst so many resources on the internet, how do you figure out the right ones for your interview preparation. We talk about the mindset with which you should walk into an interview room, and also the approach you should take towards solving those interview questions. We talk in detail about everything, so I hope it's going to be super informative. So stay tuned and watch till the end, because in the end we also happen to talk about leading a good work-life balance, which I think is one of the hot conversations on the table all around. So have fun, but three gospels before that: like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Let's get into the next segment. Like, not next segment, but these questions will be in a different context. Now we'll speak about your journey getting into Microsoft. Yeah, how do you, like, you must have interviewed for several companies. How did you make the choice? And all those stuff,
Uh-huh.
like what kind of questions are asked in the interviews, just on a very
Mm-hmm.
high level, right? Just so that people know what it entails, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so we'll begin. So, Jatin, like, you got an offer from Microsoft. Like, did you know what team were you going to join? How does it work at Microsoft?
So it's not specific to Microsoft. I'll give you a general overview of how things go actually when you go for an interview and when you get selected and what happens, right? So there are different ways you can get to an interview, right? So you can be reached through an HR on LinkedIn. You can reach to an HR on LinkedIn, or the HR can reach you. So that is through LinkedIn. Secondly, you can get referred from a friend. Okay, you can ask for referrals. You can get referred, and then basically you can sit, or you can go into a pool interview kind of stuff, right? Which regularly happens with some companies. So
Right.
in pool, what happens? They call you, and there will be a bunch of like 20, 30 people, or even more than that, sitting, and then out of those, a group of individuals will be selected, and those
Right.
people will be distributed in various vacancies which the company has.
Definitely.
So if you ask if I knew about the team which I'll be going into, so I didn't knew the exact team I will be going into, but I did knew that I'll be part of this particular org, right? So it again depends upon company to company. If you are a startup,
Definitely.
maybe you can get, if you are going into a startup, maybe you can get to know exactly where you are going. But since for a big organization and for a MNC, it's like it's divided into various orgs, right? You will be knowing where in which org you will be going into, and the sub team is actually decided afterwards, after your offer letter, and that thing is usually not told when you join, right?
Right.
So that is there. So yeah, I knew I'll be joining the Azure org, but I didn't knew that I'll be going into this particular team, right?
Yeah.
Although I had a referral, so I knew. So with referrals, it works the way like in the way like you know actually which team you are getting referred to, the org basically, not the exact team.
Yeah.
But when you go into a pool interview, you are not sure. You can be into any org or into any you can say team, because you'll be selected with a bunch of people. Let's say 100 people are sitting, so 20 people will be selected, and those will be distributed in different orgs inside that company, right? So
Right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Got it.
So, Jatin, I personally know that you had multiple offers, and
Uh-huh.
what I want to ask is like, how do you make the choice of choosing the right company? Like, obviously, compensation is the factor, but
Huh.
if I say like its compensation is slightly comparable, what all things should one consider, or you did consider at the time of making this choice?
Okay. So it boils down to two or three things majorly. Like at least for me, I'll just share my personal opinion, right?
Yeah, right.
So say you have to actually ask yourself what are you interested in first. So it's a it's a very silly question. Okay, what I'm interested in. Sometimes you don't know actually, right? Since you are in the
Exactly.
initial phase of your career for 1 or 2 years, you'll not know. You haven't seen the entire software engineering industry to be very sure about that what you know and what you don't. So I'll simplify some things for you, right? So you have to actually see what kind of life do you want. For example, I'm kind of a person who wants a particular work life balance, right? So why a particular work life balance? I mean, I I need to take out time for my hobbies, and I need to as well as be good at as well as put some work also, right? It's not like I'm focusing on my hobbies and I'm not doing any work, right? And it should not be that I'm working 24/7 and I'm not getting time to sleep. I'm not getting time to take out time for my hobbies, right? So you have to basically so these things you can get to know from different employees which are there in the company. So you can ask them what is the work life balance like in that particular team or in that particular org, because if the organization is big, it depends upon team to team, right?
Definitely.
How So that is one point. Second point is obviously the tech stack, the role for which you are being offered, right? So if all the roles are same, let's say some companies offering you SD2, some companies offering you SD1, so it makes sense to go for SD2 because you're getting a higher role, right? And if all the roles are same, then you have to ask, okay, what is the projects? Like you can't actually get to know the project sometimes, but you can definitely get to know, okay, if you are taking a referral. So that is the advantage of a referral, right? So
Yes.
if someone is referring you, he might be aware of what that team does and how are people there. So he can give you an overview, like, okay, those people are working on, like that team is working on so and so technology. And if you are interested in, then you will get to know, okay, this is something which I'm interested in. I should consider that above other offers. And thirdly, if I have to say, you can look into the perks. So what are the perks the company is offering apart from your CTC? Because sometimes the perks are huge, and those things are not, if you are not considering into the CTC. Let's say you're joining a startup, right, where you'll not get stocks, right? And its base is high, but some company is giving you less base, but the stocks are more, right? So
Definitely.
it's a trade-off. So you have to
Yeah.
decide what, like you have to take different things into consideration. So it depends upon the individual actually. So those are the few things which I personally used, which I personally think were relevant to me before choosing which is the right uh, uh, company to go for. Yeah.
Right. But I think the factors you have spoken about, I think they are universally applicable. Like, obviously, the choice will
Yes.
matter from person to person, whether he likes work life balance, like, what
Yeah.
amount of time does he want to put, but the factors are universally applicable, I mean to say.
Correct. So yeah. So if someone wants more work-life balance, he can go for some company. If he wants to work,
Yes.
like he is more workaholic kind of a person, he can choose whatever. So you should not, one thing I would say, you should not be influenced by your friends at least. Like if he is working in that company, I should go there. And you should be, and brand value also comes. So I haven't talked about brand value, sorry, I
Yeah.
forgot about that. So brand value is something you have to ask yourself, do you want to go for a brand which is well established, or do you want to go for somewhere like a startup kind of an environment? So it's a, and in brands also, like in big brands like Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, Google also, you have teams which are working more like a startup. So it's it's actually a difficult choice to make, but yeah, more or less you have to ask yourself what do you want actually, like how
Definitely.
you want to go in the coming 2 or 3 years, where you want your career to move in the coming 2 or 3 years. So various things you have to take into consideration.
Yeah. And I think most of it can be like majorly solved, not solved, but can be gauged by talking to various people around, right? In various
Yes,
companies.
yes.
That will make you
And
like understand more
yeah.
about.
Especially power of LinkedIn is actually, power of LinkedIn is huge, right? So these things you can actually, you can use LinkedIn to get stuff done, and you can basically use LinkedIn to know people better, and you can connect with them and ask them, okay, how is things there? people do respond. It's not like people don't respond. Even if they don't know you, people do respond. So it's a very healthy community on LinkedIn. Personally, which I feel. Yeah.
I've personally seen that too. So yeah, you are correct that way. Yep. So let's move on to the next question. So let's understand some part of your interview preparation. So again, I'll not go into like what exactly the questions were or what is the level of the coding that they ask. But what intrigues me is like I've been personally through this thing. So there are now the knowledge on the internet has become overwhelming. What I mean to say is there are so many resources, there are so many blogs, there are so many articles, right? That you'll get yourself lost, right?
Correct.
And you'll have to go through the ratings and reviews and everything to figure out what the best resources are, right? So, like, how do you personally think that one should be able to decide whether it's a good resource or not? And like some of the like personal ones that you can suggest to our viewers for like interview preparation who are into their initial phases, 1, 2, 3, 4 years of experience.
Okay.
You got my question, right?
So, yeah, got your question. So let me tell you something. So firstly, it's correct that there are a lot of resources now. It's very, very overwhelming. Secondly, so how the human brain works is, so you need to tell the brain that, okay, I have a sense of completion, right? So if you get a sense of completion for something, let's say you're given some task and you complete it, right? So that's a different feeling which you get, right? So in preparation, if you have an infinite pool of questions, you'll never get that sense of completion. You'll always feel underconfident. You'll always feel underprepared when going for an interview. So firstly, you have to decide what is your limit of preparation. So how I personally feel, how it was useful for me was, I decided, let's say I have to prepare for 2 months. I'm giving an example. Let's say I'll take 2 months to prepare. So I'll fix a date. Let's say today is 2nd of August. So I'll fix, okay, after 2 months, let's say August, September and October. 2nd of October will be my last day of my preparation. After that, I'll apply everywhere. I'll sit for interviews. Till 2nd of October, I'll not sit for any interviews. I'll just prepare. So fixing a deadline is very important. If you'll not fix a deadline, you'll always be in that cycle of preparation and you'll always think that, okay, let me prepare more. I'm still feeling under confident. Let me prepare more. So this cycle will go on. Fix a date. Okay, 2nd of October is my last date. After 2 months from now, it's my last date. And after that, I'll not prepare much. I'll just prepare the important concepts before just what you do just before going to an interview. But till that point, I should be prepared. So that is your deadline. After that, decide for 1 or 2 resources which you will be following. So let me give you an example. So there are, for DS and Algo, you need 1 resource. For system design, you need 1 resource.
Right.
And from that, for DS and Algo, you can go for various things like LeetCode and InterviewBit. So I'll give you my personal opinion. Both of these are pretty awesome. Geeks for Geeks I use for last minute preparation, just to go over various algorithms as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So personally, what I feel is out of LeetCode and InterviewBit, right? So since I wanted that sense of completion and I had 2 months, right? So I felt InterviewBit has less questions and it covers most of the topics. So I could complete that, and if I'll complete all the questions from a given website, then at least for me, just going into an interview is like, I need that confidence. And completing all those questions in that 2 months, completing all those questions on that particular website in those 2 months will give me the confidence I know. So I started with InterviewBit. Similarly, if someone has time, he can go for LeetCode also. But for me, LeetCode had so many questions, and it has a premium membership. I don't have that premium membership, so I cannot filter. On InterviewBit, I can basically choose my questions, whatever I want to practice. So personally, it's my personal choice, but both of them are like, you have to decide according to how much time you have and how much you can say, how much time you have. Basically, I can just say that. Apart from that, last few, let's say if you have 1 week left for your interview, it's no point in going to like understanding something from the scratch. Just go brush up your basics and brush up your DS and Algo. Go through the company interview questions. Definitely, if let's say you have an interview coming up for a particular company, go through those questions on LinkedIn, what that company asks. So that is a must before going for an interview. So that is how basically I personally prepared for all the interviews which I gave in the previous few months.
I second that thought. I think for revision point of view, those who are into last few days, Geeks for Geeks is really good. Those questions, 10 of linked list, 10 of like everything, right?
Yes.
10 of arrays, 10 of trees.
Yes.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think very well put up, Jatin. So you've already spoken about what resources you found useful. So now another question. So we have been working
Mhm.
in this industry for 2 years now. So with this sort of experience, like who are relatively new, like 1 year, 2 year, maybe 2.5, up to this range,
Uh-huh.
like I want to ask the difference between hiring a fresher and this sort of candidate. What do they expect from say a 2-year-old candidate? Companies like Microsoft, Amazon, these sort of giants.
Okay. So your question is the difference between candidates who are hired with 2 years of experience and the other side of the table is the candidates who have more experience than 2 years, like 5 years,
Uh,
6 years, something like that,
no,
or a
not
fresher,
really.
just a
Yeah,
fresher.
so somebody who is in college, like we give the interviews in
Okay.
college, right? And the other
Okay.
segment is like maybe 1.5, maybe 2.5 years of
Got it.
experience. So how are the
Got it.
expectations different?
Whenever a company goes into a college to hire, right? So I have been into college. I haven't gone to a college for hiring, but I have been into that process in my old company.
Definitely, yeah.
So what the company looks for is the basics, right? They'll focus 90% of the weightage will be on your DS and algo, right?
Yes.
Apart from that, apart from that, there will be one or two questions about your subjects related to computer science for the computer science student. If you are from electronics or other background and electronics or some other background, those questions are also replaced by data structures and algorithms. So it's a very set pattern which happens, right, in colleges, right? And there will be system design. It's very less, right? I can say it's almost negligible. Very few companies might ask you system design, and even if they ask, that's just to understand the weightage for the. Even if you do perform not that well in that round, still you have a high chance of getting through, because that round is just to gauge like how much knowledge you have, just to, you can say, differentiate. If you have a, let's say, if someone wants to hire one person, right, and you have a clash between two, you are not able to decide, then you can have a tiebreaker kind of a design round between those two, something like that, right? It's usually most of the focus is on DS and algo, but after 2 years when you switch, right, so the work experience matters a lot, right? What have you done? So apart from DS and algo, so DS and algo will again be there. I can say 60% weightage will be again on DS and algo, and questions will be little tough, little challenging.
Yes.
Apart from that, 40% weightage will be on your system design and the work which you have done in your previous company. So if you are thorough with these two things, right, the DS and algo part, some little basics of system design for 2 years of experience, I'm saying, right, some basics of system design like load balancing, caching, and proxies, reverse proxies, all those things. And apart from that, what you have done in your previous company, right? So if you are able to explain, and so in those terms, the questions will be like how challenging it was to you. What is the thing which you did differently to, like, they'll basically check your approach of how you handle things, right? Since you already have experience, they want to see how can they leverage that experience in their company, right? And what is their domain? Was your domain of working there? So these things will be there. So yeah, so that is the difference in terms of the expectation what a employer expects from a fresher and from a 2 years of experience person. Yeah.
Right. I think in most of the big companies that you'll interview for, like anybody interviews for, even if you're interviewing for an architect position, you'll have to go through those DS and algo rounds for sure. That's the elementary thing for getting into software engineering.
Yes. Yeah, it's your choice. You can either try about it or just go through the process and study DS and algo. So if it is mandatory,
I think most of the places you can't escape that. You'll have to brush up your DS and algo, whatever position you are interviewing for.
Yeah. It's actually, some people complain that why DS and algo are asked, but like even though it's hardly used in the daily practice, but see, it's like you have to judge a person's thinking and analytical ability in 1 hour, right, and related to computer science. So that's the only way to do it, right? If someone has a better way, then you can obviously suggest. They can't expect you to design something in 1 hour, code it also, right? You have limited time. You have to hire that person, right? So that is the most optimal way to do. That's personally what I feel.
Yeah, definitely. So we already know, like, this is one of the controversies that frequently comes up on LinkedIn and several other platforms also. But similarly, I think that's for every exam. You crack IIT, you are given physics, chemistry, maths. Chemistry might or might not be used. Physics might or might not be used, right? Basic maths will like mostly be used for like all of the engineers. But then for every
That's
exam,
a really good example. Yeah.
for every exam, I think it's like that only. So, yeah, cool.
Hmm.
So I think, yeah, Jatin, we have covered most of it. Like my next question was going to be this, like what apart from DS and Algo have to be into account for like 2 to 3 years experience engineer, but you've already
Uh-huh.
spoken about system design and low level system design, high level system design, right? And your projects. Like, is there anything that you would like to elaborate on, or is it just this much?
See, just these two things. In terms of, see, it's more of a mental thing also going into an interview. It's not like you have to prepare, you are well prepared, but sometimes it happens, and when you go into an interview, you're not in that mindset. So sometimes even if you do something, you'll forget, right? Let's say you
Yeah.
have done a question, and if you go there, the interview asks the same question, and you are suddenly thinking, okay, I've done this question, but I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like it will happen with you every time. So you have to develop that ability. Like, okay, even if I go, so DS and Algo should be something like that. Okay, just go and expect that there will be a new question. Just take your time and think, right? And apart from that, just take your time and think. Even if you have done that question before, just don't try to jump and rush into that solution. Just take your time, think, go through the corner cases, and then come up with an approach, right? It's not like,
Yeah.
even if you have done that question, sometimes it will happen that if you try to rush, you might miss out on something, because it's difficult to keep in your mind all those 500 to 1000 standard questions, right? So it's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, it's not possible also, what I feel. You
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to,
definitely.
you can't actually just remember those questions and go in an interview. You have
Yeah.
to develop that ability. And apart from that, system design, as I already told, basics of system design you should know if you're switching after 2 years, right? Not very high level or very detailed, but you should at least know, and especially you should at least know what you have worked on. If you're using any system design principles in what you have used, what you have already worked on, then that is a plus, right? If someone is asking you a question, and if you can explain that in terms of how you use those system design principles and your design patterns and all into that to make the code better, to decrease the, what you call it, latency and all those kind of stuff, then that's a very good thing.
Yes, definitely. One thing that you spoke about DS and Algo, I really like that. You said that we try to. So what happens most of the times is, like, if there's some question that you've already heard of, or maybe you might have solved some days ago, right? You will try to recall the same solution. Maybe
Huh.
if it were a new question, you could solve it at that particular moment, right? But what happens
Yeah.
is you try to recall the same solution that you would have gone through some days earlier. So in
Yeah,
that
and it's like
process,
a,
you
yeah,
can't
yeah,
even think nothing. You can't even think new, and neither can you recall that you had studied. So that way you mess up the
yeah.
question.
So every time it's better to just don't remember the question how it is being done. Just remember the approach, how you approach that question. So whenever if you go an interview, just try to think of that approach, how I approach that question. Not like, okay, what is that question? If you rush into those things, then you're most of the time you'll go in remembering, okay, you will be thinking,
Yes.
okay, what I did that day, what questions I did, and
Yes,
then you'll try
yes.
to achieve it what you remember, rather than
Right.
thinking how to do that question in the
Right.
first place. And
Yeah.
interviewers actually help you. If you are stuck somewhere, just ask some hints, right? If you are stuck and you're taking time, it's always better to ask a hint and approach rather than not doing that question.
Yes, definitely. So I think Jatin, it like we really covered like all the major aspects of getting through that interview process, like into a
Mhm.
big or a small company, right? So we'll cover some like casual questions now. So I think I'll tell my viewers that like Jatin has recently, like not I do not know exactly when, but only after college I think you have picked up on guitar and
Hmm.
have learned it really well. So most of us, like in our corporate jobs or like whoever works 8 to 5, usually complains
Hmm.
about not getting time, about pursuing hobbies. So what do you think? How can one who is already into job, like who's already spending most of his time doing office work, can learn guitar? Like some tutorials that you saw or some things that you would recommend. How did you go about it?
Okay. So I'll go not very specific to guitar. Just I'll take a hobby, and if how you can go pursuing that apart from working on your day-to-day tasks
Yeah,
for your proper work, right? So I'll just go
right.
into that. So see, if you are, so if you know this, since you have also worked for 2 years, so this
Yes.
industry sometimes it becomes very gray and very monotonous, right?
Yes.
So you'll feel like, okay, there's nothing. See, I'll tell you why that happens. Because in college, every time you get that sense of achievement when you, let's say, get good marks, right? In this industry, sometimes you don't get that sense of achievement because projects are big. After some time, you'll get a sense of achievement, and things are very like you'll feel like if you imagine, okay, after 10 years also I'll be doing this, then it's a different mindset which you think, okay, I'll be I'll be just working on this for 10 years, then it can be boring, right? So you need to include other things. If you're not even like, if you're not very passionate about what you are doing, then this thing can actually be a really big problem, right?
Yes.
So because you'll not be able to focus, so you need to take out time for your hobbies. That's why I lay emphasis on work-life balance, especially even in your initial years of your career, right? If you have that work-life balance, taking care of your health, taking care of your hobbies, and like you have to grow, you have to grow personally also, you have to grow professionally also. It's not like
Yes,
you can just
definitely.
focus on one side of the coin, right? So that is there. So in terms of learning something new, right, let me tell you. So firstly, for me, let's take the example of guitar. So it was not very easy. So because I'll give you an example, because I'm a lefty, right? So for me, it was like I had to learn guitar being a right-handed person. So because guitar is
Hmm.
not, it's not like someone, the strings get switched, right? Just to be
Yeah.
very specific.
Yes.
So strings get switched. So it's not like you can learn lefty. You have to buy a left-handed guitar to learn it lefty,
Definitely.
right? So, and those left-handed guitars are not readily available. They are expensive, right? And I didn't knew, okay, this thing is there in a guitar. I thought it's symmetrical. Let me buy it and I'll figure out. After that, I learned, okay, it's a right. So I had to learn it right-handedly. So that was first challenge, right? So being a left-handed person, it's little difficult to, like, you have that muscle memory, right, to do things, but you have to switch it. So I don't know, man. It just happened like one day. You if you just put in those hours, right? So and in order to put in those hours, you have to remove a friction basically. So anything you are learning new, you have to remove a kind of friction. Let me give you an example. First, what used to happen was, I used to keep my guitar in a case. I used to keep it well protected, right? So every time I have to play something, let's say you are using a laptop and you are using a phone, there is a difference between friction, right? A phone, you can just unlock with a fingerprint or with a face ID, and you can just use it. In laptop, if you have to do something, you have, let's say, browsing YouTube, right? It's so easy on a mobile phone. You have to just
Yeah.
open, and you have to open that YouTube app, and it's done. And in laptop, you have to open it, you have to switch it on, then you have to connect it to a power. Maybe if its battery is on, you have to type, then you have to go. So it's little bit tedious to do that, right? So anything, if you can do it seamlessly, it will actually be easy to do that, right? For guitar, I used to keep it in a case and all those kind of stuff. Then one day I thought, I actually watched a video on YouTube, right, regarding this only, how to learn things quickly. So the person actually pointed out. I don't know if you can share that video with your viewers. I'll just try to find it, and maybe if you can share that. It's a very good video. So there, the person told that you have to remove that friction to do anything, right? So to remove that friction, I just kept the guitar like that, okay, on the side of my, you can say, on my chair, right? And when anytime I used to go into my room, right, every time I used to take a break, I used to just take it out, strum it randomly, and one day it just clicked, man. So it just like I was practicing few chords, so one day it just clicked, just like learning a bicycle. It clicks and then you never forget it, right? So it's just putting in those hours, and in order to put those hours, you have to remove that friction. So it's just like a
Yeah.
connected thing which you have to do.
Yeah.
So
I think for everything
it's
that you learn
hmm,
new, this initial phase is pain, and there's a threshold. Once you cross that, you'll be happy. Like once you get that sense of achievement that you've already talked
yes.
about for some time. So once you
Hmm.
get that minimal, then you can really think that way, that okay, I'll do better, I'll achieve more. You need to have that
Yes.
one quanta of threshold, right?
Yes, that phase of struggle is the most difficult phase. After that, things are a little bit, you can say, cakewalk.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. And you rightly mentioned. So, what we need to learn, like in this modern era, is I think we need to learn the art of learning new things. So, you told about watching that video, right? Which
That
taught you
that's
how
a,
to
that's
learn.
a that's a really good statement. The
Yeah,
art of learning, the art of learning new things. Whatever that was, I
yeah,
just got
right.
lost, but still, it sounded good.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, Jatin, we have covered that as well. So, one final question, and that'll be sort of this thing. So, you have already worked for 2 years now. You must have met several like senior folks at Visa as well as Microsoft. So,
Mhm.
like, you must have gauged what qualities they have than the like that junior engineers do not have, right? What makes them different from juniors engineers, besides technically, obviously. So, just
Hmm.
quickly, like three things that you think like makes a good software engineer. Three skills besides like coding and definitely like technically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first thing is communication. Okay, if you're good in
Yes.
communication, it will be a really good thing for your career, right?
Very,
Even in
very, very
presentations and all,
important.
You can see all the CEOs, everyone is a good communicator, and it's not a secondary skill, you should say. It goes hand in hand with your coding and all. If you are
Yes,
both good at
definitely.
communication and coding, then it's a really boost to your career in software engineering.
Yes, I
Apart
think
from the second
communication
thing
is
is,
the primary aspect, because with like
yes,
good communication, you can learn things faster. You know how to reach out to people, how to talk to them, how to ask the right questions so that you get the right answers, right? So I think communication
yes,
is the primary impact, right?
yes,
Yeah, go
definitely.
ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Second thing was patience. Second thing will be patience, right? This is especially lacking in the junior engineers. So it's like we are not patient, right?
Yes.
Anything that happens, like we get worried. Okay, this thing is not working. I have a deadline coming up. What to do? How to do? And if you
Yes.
see senior engineers, they're always calm and cool, right? If anything goes wrong, even in production, they'll maintain their calm and get it fixed, right? Because things get messed up in engineering. It's not
Yes.
like every time you'll write the first code and it will not have anything, like it will not have any bugs will come,
Yes.
and they are part of your job, right? You have to be patient, right? And third thing I'll just focus on work life balance, man. So it's like two things. So every time, sometimes we are just so much focused on getting promotion, getting growing professionally, that we focus, we forget our, what do you call it, this time from our 20s to our 30s, right? So this is a very important phase of your life, right? So you can't, so it's like it will never come back, right? So you have to get time for your other things which you need to do. You have to travel with your friends, and like pursue your hobbies, whatever you are passionate about. Just like, I'll just say the third point will be being passionate about something. Just find your passion and just follow that apart from your work. This will keep you motivated, so you'll not feel like, okay, I didn't do anything, I was just focusing on what my interest was. I was just focusing on what my interest wasn't, right? In something, like I was just working and I was not focusing on something which I was passionate about. So it should not be happen afterward, right? So
Right.
let's say you want to learn something new, and there is no age for learning, right? You can learn afterwards also, but right now, if you have the time, you have the resources, then why not go for it? So yeah.
Yeah. So I think to sum it up, number one is communication. Number two is
Yes.
patience, definitely. And number three is like pursuing something like something you are passionate about outside of work. Right?
Outside of work, yes.
Yes. So I think that was really a very good interview. Like that was a wholesome interview. We covered a lot of aspects. We covered like how does your like work look like, the companies that you
Mhm.
worked at, then the interview preparation, and some part of like our general aspects covering hobbies and all. So I think it'll be a treat to our viewers. So thank you so much, Jatin, for being one of the first guests on our show. And thank you so much. We'll sum up the interview with this. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being on your show, Manu.